I think it would be very ill of me and extremely inappropriate not to start by apologizing about the mishap that happened yesterday. I think there was a huge breakdown in communication. And of course, as the leader of the group, I've got to stand in front of you and apologize on behalf of our football club. The one thing is, the good side of it is that we recognize how important Shupi now is to the club, because yesterday we were not with him, and it was for the first time that we had something like this. So now we, sometimes you only value someone when he is absent. And I'm sure 100% that it will not happen again. And I'm sure that Shupi will make sure that it doesn't happen again, because he'll be here every single day from now on. Then it's also important for me to also start on a very sad note, because like I always say to you, football is the most important of the least important things in life. And as a football club, we've lost one of our most loyal, dedicated and hardworking members. And we would like to take this opportunity to extend our deepest and heartfelt condolences to the Mashata family. We celebrate his life, but at the same time we thank the family for blessing us with such an incredible soul. And also, more than that, we wish them strength. Our prayers are with them in these difficult moments. Of course, words will always fail us, but maybe what we can do is to pray and hope that his soul may rest in eternal peace. Moving on to the most important of the least important things, which is football. The game that we are looking forward to tomorrow. We understand that it's only half-time, but a half-time that we go into with a disadvantage. But that is exactly what it is. It's a disadvantage, and nothing more than that. And many teams, you can look at even the most recent of records. You can go to our AFL situation when we played against Wydad, we lost away from home. You can go even into the most recent Champions League game between Barca and PSG. And with commitment, with enthusiasm, with positivity, we know that we can overturn the result. And the good thing about this second leg is that it takes place in front of our people. And we want to do it for them. We want to make them happy. And we are looking excited and looking forward to what is going to be a very, very good game.
Obviously, we know how important the game is. It's a big one for the club. Players are looking forward to it. We enjoy playing these games. It brings the best out of us. As you even saw last week, going away to Tunisia and giving the performance that we did away from home, speaks volumes of what we are building at the club. So tomorrow we'll have, that extra energy behind us with the Masandawana, the fans getting behind us. And obviously the Mashata, spirit, hopefully that can energize us as well and push us. We're looking forward to it. We're excited. And we know what we need to do, in order to be in the final.
It's actually been one of my criticisms of late in our debriefs, where I get the feeling, and I said this to the players, that sometimes I get the feeling that they wait for me to help them solve problems. And Ronwen is probably one of the most important in that regard, because I communicate a lot with Ronwen. When he's on the pitch, at any moment when he gets an opportunity to sprint towards me and inform me of what's happening, and some of the things I don't even see. Him and Marcelo Allende are probably the two that are an extension of the coach, and they have such incredible tactical insight in relation to how we want to play, the schemes we want to adopt, both in and out of possession. But I'd like to see them taking a little bit more responsibility to solve the problems while they face the problems, and not wait for half time and not wait for the corrections, to be able to say you could have done this, you could have done that, because then sometimes it's a little bit too late. And the one thing I keep saying to them now is that these games that we are about to play from now until the end of the season, you will only value or understand how important it is to play from minute 0 to minute 96 after the game. That's the only time you will realize how important it was to be motivated to push yourself from minute 0 to minute 96 is only after the game. So you don't want to find yourself in a position where you are grumpy, you are sad, you are disappointed, you feel you've let yourself down, because that's the feeling you will get if you don't correct the mistakes there and then. And then when you have that feeling at the end of the match, it's a little bit too late.
Obviously, we draw inspiration from the AFL final, where we went away, we lost away from home. But in that game, it was a bit different because we had an away goal, so now it's a bit different. But then again, you draw inspiration from the Champions League that you watch now, Real Madrid, Man City, Barcelona, PSG. Just go out there and play the game, win the game. That's the important thing. There's two important things for us going into tomorrow, is not to concede. And I don't think we concede a lot of goals at home. AFL, I think we had 5 out of 6 games clean sheet. In the league now as well, I don't think we conceded at home. In the Champions League. So tomorrow, that's the most important thing. It's not to concede. And knowing us, knowing our team, we score at Loftus. So that's the most important thing, and that's the energy that we lean towards, knowing that we don't concede too many goals at home and that we got goals in front of our home fans.
After watching the game, yes, I've got the same type of feeling. I think there were some good things that we did very, very well. And those things were controlling certain players of the opposition. Those things were trying to dominate in terms of possession, for sure. Trying to play a little bit higher than normally what we would do. Trying to defend the set pieces, which we know is a big strength of the opposition. Trying to control the rotations that happen on the left and on the right. There were things for sure that I thought we could have done better, and I think Esperance did better than us. They had constant pressure around our box. The most important for sure is Rodriguez, because even when you look at what I always do is I go into the stats bomb report, and when I see the number of touches in relation to the XG possibilities, he's ranked higher than all the other players on the Esperance team. There was a lot of possibilities for us to do a lot of work on, especially Jan Sass, but in some of the occasions we made some mistakes and we allowed certain movements which we had prepared for to take place, and that disappointed me. And then also some of the possibilities, particularly to control the right center back. Maria was surprised by the start of Ben Ali at right back instead of Bushniva. But of course, if you look at the game, you see how much space he found, particularly in very high positions. And then to find those combinations, also surprised that Bukia didn't start. Or maybe even Bugera, who came in as a second half and made a huge impact. But I think for some of the tactical agreements, I was extremely proud of this group. And as I said, we had certain things that we wanted to do. We had certain details that we wanted to focus on. And maybe with better precision, more accuracy in some of the situations, more aggression in some of the situations, we could have created better chances. But I was happy with some of the possibilities, because some of the possibilities to get closer to goal were there. One, in fact, two were judged offside, but Loch's one was a little bit more obvious than Lucas Ribeiro's one that hit the upright, and so we scored. And Tambazwane had also a very, very good chance in the second half where I think maybe he didn't connect so well with the ball, but to go to Tunisia and create some of the chances that we created at this stage of the competition, I can only be proud of this group of players for the character and the mentality that they showed. So if you ask me, do I still hold the same opinion? For sure. I think we dominated. I think we went there, we were courageous, we were brave, we looked for the ball, nobody was hiding. And but for sure, of course, we made some mistakes, and this game being a game of margins, small margins, you can't afford those type of mistakes. But mistakes are there to be made. Mistakes are there for the players to learn and to be corrected and to help them to improve. And one thing about this team is you don't find our team making the same mistake every single game. You'll never find that. Our team will make one mistake, but they don't repeat that mistake in the games to come. And that's exactly what I believe is testament to not only the work that we do as the coaches, but their attitude. You know, they are coachable, they are humble, and they receive information very well. So I'm very proud of the first half performance, and now is to put a little bit more in the second half performance, because even though the performance was relatively good, but it was not good enough, because clearly the score reflects that we were not at the end the better team. You look at the number of shots, we had 7 shots, they had 7 shots. We had 2 on target, they had 2 on target. So when the Tunisian media said that we were dominated and they were superior, I couldn't help but disagree, because the feeling that I had, and when I watched the game also again, is a feeling that I still endorse and support. So but the message is very clear, is to play better than we did in Tunisia.
Obviously, I hope we can wrap the game up in 90 minutes. That's the plan. That's what we've been preparing for. We don't want to go to penalties again. I mean, it brings so much stress to the technical team, to the coach, to the players as well. You know, there's no pressure on goalkeepers. We just enjoy it. But in saying that, if we do go to penalties, we're confident as a team, you know, because we won the last 2. So the confidence is high in myself, in the kickers, because the kickers were amazing as well. You know, it's not easy, you know, at this stage of the competition. So, yeah, hopefully we can wrap it up in 90 minutes.
And the goalkeeper on the other side, did you see?
Yes, we studied, we analyzed, we saw that obviously they won in the quarterfinals, you know, so, you know, it's just for us to go out there and do what we do what we've been doing, prepare well, practice well, and just believe in ourselves. That's all we can do.
It's a difficult one to answer, and I'll tell you why. Because again, sometimes I just have to expose, which I don't like to do, because I talk a lot with the players, and communication is so important at the moment, because there's no time to train. We're not on the pitch. If we're on the pitch, we're on 10, 12 minutes. I can't talk on the pitch, because then I keep them on the legs, and that brings fatigue itself. So I have video sessions. I have even my talks that I have to give, because there's a certain personality, there's a certain mentality that I'd like to breed within the group. And one of the things that I said to the players was that the automatic response of a human being is safety. It's auto. No matter how much you love dogs, I made that example. I said no matter how much I love dogs, but if I see a Rottweiler, my first instinct is run. No matter how much I love dogs, I say, oh, what a beautiful dog. But it's the moment I see that it's not go and caress the dog, and it's run. So normally, and that's even with footballers, the first instinct when you get into situations where you are playing games of consequence, and you are getting closer to winning competitions, the mentality, whether it is a controlled mentality or not, the reaction of the body and the mind is to say, let's not lose it. And that's where sometimes where the problem is you approach the game with a mentality of let's not lose it. Yet you forget that you got to where you got because your mentality was let's go and win it. And we are sitting in a position where we are in a spot where we already are getting closer and closer, and we are in situations where we are playing games of consequence. And I can understand how conservative they are with their mentality, and maybe it even speaks to their performance, because a lot of our performances are about let's not lose the game. But every single time I'm encouraging them, go for it. Go for it. You've gotten so far because you've gone for it. And the only way to cross the finish line is to go for it, you know? And that really is my approach going into these next few games is, guys, take the handbrake down. Play with very little fear. If you lose, okay, because football is about win, lose, or draw. Now, if we are afraid to lose, what are we saying to people who have lost their lives? What are we saying to the people who now you've got a family member who's passed on? And what am I saying to the people that are bereaved? Is that now, it's the end of the world? No. We lose cars, we lose dogs, we lose pets, we lose friends. But it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. So we have a responsibility through sport, and even in the eventuality of a result that we do not want. And for sure, I used a line the other day that Arsene Wenger actually used. He said, it cannot be the line of confrontation. Understanding that you can lose a football match is there, but it cannot be the line of confrontation. That's not your starting point. Your starting point is go for the win. But okay, if you lose, it's part of football, it's part of the game. As long as you get no regrets after, you know you've given it everything that you can to try to win. And knowing this team and knowing the quality that they have, when they set themselves up to say, we are just going for it. We're going to show, and we're going to show our quality. We're going to show that we are better. Knowing this team, and I have seen it. Unfortunately, I speak to you guys, and maybe you guys have not seen it, but I have seen it. And where I saw it at its ultimate was in preseason in the Netherlands. I've seen it. And I consistently say to them, you've shown it to me. Can you not show it to me again? And that's the pressure I put on them, is show it to me again. And because when you show it to me, you then show it to the world, because that level of performance is so good that it needs and it deserves the eyes and the appreciation of not only South Africa and the continent, but the rest of the world. And that is my challenge and my speak all the time to this group.
For the past 7 years, Sundowns has been out of the group stage, and you grow and learn and gain valuable experience. And I think the main thing that we've picked up as a club is to be part and parcel of these major tournaments, because once you get there, you know what it takes to get to the next step. And I can remember the coaches talk every year when we start is, let's get out of the group, let's get to the semi-finals, let's get to the finals, because then, you know, that experience, you build that experience. And I mean, you see it from Al Ahly. People look at them and then ask them, how are they in the final? You look at Real Madrid, how are they in the final? But it's because of the experience and the history that they've got as a club, you know. And we, you know, as players, as a club, we want that as well. And this last, I think, 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, the club has been there, quarterfinals, semi-finals now, back to back, you know, for the first time in a very long time. So it's valuable experience that we are gaining, that we gained at AFCON as well, you know, playing at that level. So it's good for the players, you know, because we had so many players there as well, representing the country, representing the team as well. So it's for us to obviously share our experiences. It's not only about us at AFCON, it's the club, being in the semi-final once again, being in the final AFL, Nedbank final, MTN8 final. You learn from all these experiences. Playing finals and playing a normal game is different. There's a lot of experiences that one gets and the feel. And that's why you see Real Madrid there, you see Al Ahly there, just because of the history and the experience. So we need to use that, and that's why Esperance is here again, because that's where they were the last few years, for the past 4 or 5 years. They've been in the semi-final. So it's something that we need to fight, and it's something that we've been doing very well now the last 2 years, that we went to AFCON semi-final, AFL final, semi-final last year, semi-final again. So we need to, just take that extra step now and go all the way to the final and be consistent.
I am aware of exactly everything that you say. The group is aware of exactly everything that you say. There is work that we are doing every single day to try to overcome that. A major part of this is that we don't spend too much time on the pitch together and attack. The number one requirement for attack is chemistry, automatisms, telepathy, and then you add the principles of attack. One being creativity, the other being support, the other being width, the other being mobility, the other being depth. Now, all these things are interrelated, because how we play is your position is not just your position because you want to take that position. Your position is in relation to your teammate, and then it is in relation to what movements does the opponent make. And because what movement the opponent makes influences what space is then created, that then says, where do we then move the ball? The ball is not the first consideration. And my position is not the first consideration. The first consideration is, where am I in relation to my teammate? And then in relation to the opponent. And for that to happen with seamlessness needs time on the pitch. And time on the pitch is twice. Is training time. I don't have time on the pitch to do build-up schemes and attacking schemes and these things and movements and counter movements and second movements and all this. Is very difficult. People say, yeah, but I cannot do it. It's not possible. And then time on the pitch also means it's players that have to be on the pitch. Now let's take Tebogo Mokwena for an example. Tebogo Mokwena has already played 43, 44 games already this season. Now at any point, that muscular pain that he experienced against Morocco Swallows was going to come it was just around the corner. It could have been a training. It could have been in the next game or the game after. But it's because of the load. Now, if I am not conscious of that, and I think, how many games has Ronwen played? How many games is that? And I don't, like the last game, if it's easy for me to say, Ronwen is chasing a clean sheet record for the second time in a row. He needs the games to be able to catch up and break his own record. But that now becomes a secondary. It's Lucas Ribeiro. He's chasing the top goal scorer award. The less minutes he gets in league games is the less chances he has on scoring goals and winning that award. But those objectives, and as important as they are for their careers and for their legacies and for the history of themselves in their careers, those objectives become secondary, because now you've got to look at other things. And the other things are, how do you maintain the freshness of the players? And the only way to do that is less time on the pitch, more video, more recovery, more massages, more water, more rest. This is the only way I know. And that, of course, is going to influence, unfortunately, the progress at which we are improving as a team, particularly offensively. Because as a team, defensively, we're probably one of the best on the continent. And the numbers speak for that, for themselves. But that's also got to do because of general organization that you can easily work on without spending a lot of time on the pitch. It's about discipline, it's about organization, it's about that. But there's a little bit more detail in your offensive schemes. And that I don't want to give too much information on where we're lacking, what are we doing, one of the biggest things was just to answer your question. That is exactly the feeling that I have too.
Definitely. Um, I mean, he pushes us so much, he supports us, he loves us so much, and we just want to give him what his heart desires as well, because he's under so much pressure from a lot of different people, and we just want to make him happy as best as we know how, and that's football, playing the football that he wants us to play, be the human beings he wants us to be when we're around the team. And like I said, you know, he's someone who looks to better someone else, better the other players, better all the players in the team. But us as players, we want to help him reach his goals as well, because he's got goals as well that he's set down. He wants to, you know, get the star, AFL, you know, and all the dreams that he's got. And us as a team, we appreciate him so much. So we want to obviously do it for him, do it for the Motsepe family, because, you know, it's a collective. You know, we're all in on this. When the season starts, we all have, you know, we have the talk, and this is our objectives for the year. And it's not the coach's objectives or the Motsepe families, it's all of ours. And we all try and work towards that goal, you know. And once maybe we don't get to that goal, we all feel the pain, we all hurt, you know. It's not the coach by himself, it's all of us, you know. And we try by all means, you know, to just have that family, that unity, that brotherhood that coach always speaks about. And that's the only way we can help, you know, in good and in bad moments. You know, when things are not going our way, we draw strength from each other. When things are going well, we celebrate together. You know, it's so, you know, we don't get time to spend with our families. So we are family now, and you can see it, you know, and we just enjoy working with the coach. We appreciate him, and hopefully, you know, we can go all the way, not only for him, for everyone that's involved with the club.
I don't want to go too much into that because my focus is on winning tomorrow's game, and that's the most important. And like you said, I was so happy you started there. You said one of the ways is winning the Champions League, and that's the way we want to qualify for the Club World Cup. And I think if we focus only on that, we know there's other permutations. For sure there are. And fortunately, we've worked very, very hard to get ourselves there. So sometimes people say, you know, why did they win that game, But that game is the one that gave us an extra 3 points, for an example. And that's the one that put us in a situation where we could still possibly qualify without winning the Champions League as the highest ranked team on the continent. But it's because of those small wins that we had when people thought, but why are they not rotating against Bumamuro? It's because when you win against Bumamuro, there's points there. Why are they, they've already qualified in the last game against TP Mazembe. Why are they playing their strongest game and playing to win? It's because that win also gives you 3 points to be able to finish on top of the group, and then it adds to the number of points that you get for your rankings. So those small things that we pay attention to may not necessarily be visible to the eyes, but for me the focus, which is our focus, is we have to play tomorrow's game to win, and to win the Champions League so that we can qualify for the Club World Cup, because that's a goal that we want to also achieve, and it is an experience that we all want to be part of.
I would urge, you know, the Masandawana, South Africa as a whole, to get behind us. You know, not only the Yellow Nation. We need each and every one. You know, let us do it for South Africa. Let us do it for South African football, because we're up there now with the best, you know. So let's Sundowns go all the way, you know, with your support. It's only gonna uplift South African football, like we've done at AFCON. We've set the bar very high, you know. So let South Africa as a whole get behind Sundowns for one day, you know. If you can put your personal clubs aside, you know, just get behind the team, support us. We need you. We're not only doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the next generations and the generations to come. so that they can also have something to look forward to play, to be part of Champions League, to dream big. When I came on the scene, I only dreamt of winning the league, winning Nedbank. Now I'm dreaming of winning Champions League, AFL, AFCON even now, so this is for the generations to come, to have something, a bigger dream, than what we've had over the last few years. So Sundowns, is the pillar and the strength of that in the country at the moment. So I would just like to urge everyone to get behind the team, to support us, for the Masandawana, the Yellow Nation, to continue beating those drums from the first minute up until the last. As important as each minute is for us as players, each minute is important for them to sing, to make noise, to get behind us, to, just that energy. We're going to need it tomorrow. From the first up until the 96th minute, if we go all the way to penalties again, make noise, boo them when it's their time to kick, because that's what they do to us. They make it hostile. So let us adopt to the way they do things as well, because it's tough. You think it's going easy. You think it's easy going to Tunisia, to Morocco, to Cairo to play. They make it so difficult for us, and it's a factor. But luckily for us, we've got the experience now, and we know how to overcome it. So let us just get that, that thing going, as a country. So yeah, I'm excited to see the Yellow Nation, and I'm excited to put smiles on the Masandawana fans tomorrow.
Football is always a reflection of society, and with the social struggles that we have, there is a huge increase in people finding ways to create or generate some form of income, and that goes in the social space, and that goes into the sporting space. You then go into that, in that understanding, to say football has now become a business. Football has moved so far away from what it originally was, and if you think about what football, and you study the history of the game, they say the game of football is a game that was started in England, whether that is true or not. But the English people are very cultural, extremely cultural, and therefore that cultural level, in my opinion, transcended into the game of football, where you could even find that even after a game between Manchester United and Arsenal, for an example, at the height of the rivalry, Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson would sit together and enjoy a glass of wine, or exchange bottles of wine with each other, and still show some form of friendship, and build some form of connection. What has happened now, and even in the sense where you would still find teams hosting each other in the players' lounge, where after the game, regardless of the score, the players would sit together, maybe even share beers together. And these are things that, when I read the autobiographies of Sir Alex or Wenger, these are some of the things they speak about a lot, as some of the aspects that contributed to still making the game as competitive as it was, but at the same time having some form of social interactions. And one of the reasons why the late Nelson Mandela said that sport has the power to unite people is mainly because of that. Is because now you've got a team like Mamelodi Sundowns, for an example, where we've got a Chilean, or where we've got a Brazilian, or where we've got, and maybe if you go into the opposition team with Esperance, we play Esperance, and then the coach is Portuguese, and you get an opportunity to speak to him about his experiences in Portugal, or his football, and now you formed some form of friendship, or maybe even if it's not at that level where you can call it friendship, but you've formed some form of connection, understanding, and is a colleague that you've developed and you've met, and is a relationship that can be developed in the future. And it's the same for the players. Ronwen goes to the opposition goalkeeper, and they exchange jerseys, they exchange numbers, they follow each other on social media, they start communicating. This is what football from that cultural perspective, was, in my opinion, created for. Because at the end, football is a game. And like every other game, Ludo, a game of cards, of course you play to win, but you play it with your friends. And regardless of who wins the game, the friendship still stays. But what has happened now is that the game has transcended into a business where there's money involved, and because there's money involved, there's a lot of possibilities for extra sponsors, and they need mileage, they need exposure, and because they need to get a return on investment. Part to that then goes into the people who support or who get involved in supporting the game, because you've now got a new means of generating income for society, which includes betting companies. Now, you find people who are artificially supporting the club, not because I support the club from my heart, but I support the club because my Betway slip is saying, if Sundowns wins, I make an extra couple of cents that is able to feed my family. I can put food on the table because I'm unemployed. I've got no other form of income. And the easiest way, if not going the other way, and you know what the other way is, and resorting to that, is for me to start now and saying, hey, let me go and put Sundowns win, what win. Now when Sundowns doesn't win, it's a problem. Because the guy now is saying, how am I going to feed my family? And rightfully so. So what has happened is we've grown the game so much that I even think, and I was listening, I listened to coaches all over. I listened to Pep complaining about this. I listened to Klopp complaining about this. Do you know what I think will start happening? Is that representing your national team will become such a minor objective and something that is devalued, because that would be the only opportunity where even club owners are saying, I would rather have my player resting and not participating in 3, 4, 5, 6 extra games and being prepared to help my team to win, rather than representing. In the past, when you were a club owner, or maybe even as a player, you would enjoy going to play for the national team. But all of a sudden, if you look at the trend, releasing players for the national team now for club coaches has become a big topic, where even players go to the national team and then all of a sudden they say, hey, the guy is injured. And maybe the injury might not be as severe as and worthy of being pulled out of the national team. But it's how the coaches are going about dealing with this thing. And then more sponsors are coming in, more money is being put in, and where they see a gap, this week there's only one game for this team. Let's put in a competition. We just go to England now, all of a sudden. At the end of the season finishes. You know that there's a tournament now that's arranged. Instead of the players going on an off-season break, there's a tournament arranged, I think, for Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspurs. When do the players get to rest? Now, that for me is where I go, that direction. Is I don't go in the business direction. I don't go in the direction of the game and what it means for the people. I go in the direction of the health. Because it means to me is, when is Ronwen resting? When is his body getting time to say, let me repair myself? Is difficult. And then on top of that is the mental health of the players. Is now you start to get exposed to cyberbullying, because now you've got people who are attacking Ronwen, who is doing the best that he can, but they're attacking Ronwen not necessarily because of his performance and because of the mistake, but because of the result that cost him an extra couple of rands on the Betway slip. So now you see where we go. We're going into a space where there is an increased demand, not only from a physical and a physiological aspect, but there's an increased demand now even on the mental health of the people participating in the game. And that is where you probably start losing the ethos of what the game is about, because the game is about creating great memories, making friends, and bringing people together. At the moment, the way the game is going, and this is global, it's not just South Africa, this is global, and it's the same case. This season, I've had no time to train. I can't train the team. I complain to them all the time. I want you on the pitch. I want to help you. I want to work on certain things. I don't have time to do that because it's the most abnormal season I've ever seen as a coach. It's the hardest season for myself. And then when we don't play well, I'm the hardest person. They see it. I come. I'm distraught. And it's not even good for my mental health. So if I can't have the right level of motivation, the right levels of energy, because I'm human too, how can I drive and give that motivation and that energy to my players? It becomes very, very difficult. So my thing is, to answer your question, to be honest, I don't know what direction it's going to take, because people want more and more football, but the reality of that is the more football, the more fatigue, the lesser the quality, because you can't expect players to play at the highest level under incredible amounts of fatigue, and that is a scientific fact. And if you want me to go there, I can go into a biology session from start to, but I don't want to go there. So let me leave it at that.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but
Who cares?
but yeah, it's tough, but the club helps. They're extremely helpful. Like the coach has mentioned, less training. Sometimes it doesn't help us, as a team, because we want to train, we want to get better, we want to be perfectionists, but it's very difficult. But then we enjoy it as well. It's our job. Once you put the T-shirt on with this badge, with this star, you get that motivation to work again, to go, even though you're tired, even though you're hurt, you're injured, but you want to do it. But it's very difficult, and I don't know what's going to happen going forward, but us, at Mamelodi Sundowns, we are taken very good care of, with lots of rest, limited training, a lot of video sessions, and the recovery protocols that we've got. I mean, you guys saw, we landed 1 o'clock and we were training 1 a.m. in the morning. We had to do it, so that we could have more time to sleep after that, knowing that we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We done our recovery and we get to sleep more. And then when we woke up, we had to come to camp again, because we had to prepare for a game, an important game, and a game that we had to win. So we had to show up again. And
train in the morning.
And train in the morning, so that's the mentality that we've got at the club. Who cares how we feel? We need to show up, we need to do it, and we enjoy it now. It's part and parcel of our everyday lives now, so we just need to wake up, get on with the show, win the game, and move on to the next one.